Hey, what's up, YouTube fam? Welcome back to the channel. How are y'all doing today? I hope that you guys are doing well. Hold on. Let's see. I'm waiting for y'all to come on in. I'm so used to going live on my other channel. Hey y'all, so a lot is going on. I don't know why that did not change. Was trying to change. Okay, yeah, I did change it, but it didn't change in there. But anyway, you are on Tommy Bites Homestead. So how are y'all doing? Welcome in. Hey, Squirrely Girl. Hey, MJ, Lydia, Happy Max, Sonia, Granny Karma. How are you doing today? And talk to you in a minute. Hey, X. Hey, Judith. So there are going to be supply chain issues. This not me saying it. This just me regurgitating what I have been seeing. And I want to take this moment because this is a garden and homesteading channel to encourage you to grow your own food. If you don't know how, find somebody video that you can watch, whether it's mine or somebody else's, but it is very important that you start growing some food. Will you be able to stay out of the grocery store? That's on you and how much you do. But we should not be totally reliant upon these grocery stores because there may come a point where the shelves don't look quite as full. And this is not happening right this minute because all of this is just taking place that I am talking about. But as of 12 p.m. today, the Canada and EU have hit back with their tariffs. So now they're saying that supply chain may have issues with this. Is causing problems with businesses trying to keep up with the back and forth of the different tariffs that's going on. Hey, Happy Mac, how are you today? Hey, Edward. So let's get into the first story, and then I have a clip that I want to show you guys. I have a grocery store that is shutting down, 2 locations. I don't know, some of y'all have seen what just took place with the Department of Education, and how a lot of people have lost their jobs and how that's going to affect schools, etc., with funding. Funding to feed the kids, funding for books, funding for whatever they need funding for disabled children, all of that slashed. So I'm not going to be here long because I do have to pick my daughter up. So I'm going to try to rush through it as fast as I can, but give you the information that you need because I do have another video coming out later today. Let's see. Let's go back to what I was doing. Okay, so Canada, EU hit back at US with tariffs. I'm not going to go through the whole entire article, just highlight what's going on. So on Wednesday, Canada and Europe levied counter tariffs against the United States following Trump's administration imposition of 25% tariffs. The European and Canada on Wednesday placed new trade duties on about 49 billion worth of U.S. goods in response to President Donald Trump's metals tariff. The U.S. at midnight began imposing 25% tariffs on all steel, all aluminum imports. And some people might say, well, this won't affect me, but you would be very surprised to find out what all has aluminum and steel in it. For years, the European Union has opposed the United States' efforts to reindustrialize. The EU has rejected attempts under successive U.S. administrations to cooperate effectively on dealing with global excess capacity on steel and aluminum. And then they're attacking the EU, saying if they had acted as quickly as they did to address the global excess capacity as it does on the punishment of the United States, we likely would be in a different situation. But here's the thing. You don't get to throw the rock and not get a response. You're going to get a response. They're going to test to see just how sure you are of what you're doing. And we've seen the administration postpone a couple of times on the tariff. So the EU has responded to Trump's metals duties with counter tariffs on 28 billion in U.S. goods. As of this morning, the United States is applying a 25% tariff on the aluminum and steel. They say they deeply regret this measure. Tariffs are taxes. Well, either way, it's not going to affect the uppers. It's going to affect the lowers. Prices will go up in Europe and in the United States, they say. The Commission must act to protect consumers and businesses. Canada on Wednesday announced tariffs on 21 billion worth of U.S. goods. The U.S. administration is once again inserting disruption and disorder into the incredibly successful trading partnership and raising the cost of everyday goods for Canadians and American households alike. So, on Tuesday, Ontario, Canada dropped a 25% surcharge it had planned to place on electricity sold to the U.S. in response to the announcement by Trump that he would impose a 50% rather than 25% on steel and aluminum imports from Canada. The EU said it will allow the suspension of existing 2018 and 2020 countermeasures against the U.S. to lapse on April 1st. Those tariffs target a range of U.S. products that respond to the economic harm done on 8.7 billion of European steel and aluminum. Remember, the date is April 2nd that, they were giving them. So in response to the new U.S. tariffs affecting more than 19.6 billion, the EU exports, the EU is moving forward with a package of new countermeasures on U.S. exports that will come into force by mid-April. Okay, so let's get out of there and go to the other one. Give me 1 second to pull it up. Yeah, I know I'm struggling with my eyes, so give me a second. So let's go into the TikTok video explaining this.
Came into effect today. China's retaliatory tariffs came into effect today, hitting key U.S. agricultural products and causing significant pain to American farmers, with China being its largest market in this sector. Well, the tariffs include 15% on U.S. chicken, wheat and corn, and 10% on products like soybeans, pork, beef and fruit. Well, this is in response to the now 20% blanket tariffs President Trump placed on all Chinese goods. I spoke to China economic expert Michael Pettis here in Beijing, who has advised both the Trump and Biden administration on trade. Well, he believes this trade war between the US and China was inevitable, and making a deal is near impossible. And this deal of the century that President Trump is after with President Xi, what does that look like?
Honestly, what the US needs is so much the polar opposite of what China needs that I'm not sure there can be a meaningful deal there.
Well, 25 US companies have also been targeted in these retaliatory tariffs from either doing business in China or buying their products. Well, Michael Pettis says until the global trade imbalances are addressed, this trade war will only escalate. China's
Okay. And then the next one is about the supply chain, if I can get it to come up. Okay, what happened to it? I don't know if this is it. I don't think this is it. I think this is the one we just did. Yeah. Hey, y'all, welcome in. Please hit the like button. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick because I don't know where it went. Is it? No, that's the Department of Education. I don't know if this is it or not. That's not it. Where's the other one? Let's go over to the Department of Education while I look for it on my phone. Okay, so the Department of Education initiated mass layoffs on Tuesday night, reducing its workforce by nearly 50%. The reduction in force notices began to go out by 6 p.m. Some 1,315 employees were affected, leaving 2,183 employed by the department. Impacted staff will be placed on administrative leave starting March 21st. They're supposed to be paid until June 9th. The statement also said that the Dow will continue to deliver the statutory programs. Well, I think they meant Doge, but they forgot a G. That fall under the agency's purview, including formula funding, student loans, Pell Grants, funding for special needs students. Today's reductions in force reflects the Department of Education's commitment to efficiency, accountability. The downsizing impacts every sector of the department in some ways. This is primarily a streamlining effort for internal-facing roles, not external-facing roles. Following the flurry of layoff notifications, those who remained employed by Department of Education received their own email. ABC News obtained a copy which said, in part, as we move forward, our mission and responsibilities will remain, but there will be a need for significant changes to the way that we work. They're saying that decisions weren't made lightly, but I kind of think they were. In the next steps, 6 communications offices are going to be consolidated, officials explain, and leases will end in major cities, including San Francisco, New York, Cleveland, Boston, Chicago, and Dallas. The 3 DOE buildings in Washington, D.C. will also eventually be consolidated. The announcement came shortly after DOE employees were told that their offices, including those in national capital regions along the regional locations, would be closed for the day on Wednesday. I saw a video of them basically locking doors. Let's see if there's a video on this.
At the Department of Education, after the firings and earlier buyouts, the department has been slashed in half since President Trump took office. Senior political correspondent Rachel Scott has that story. Good morning, Rachel.
George, good morning to you. And these are sweeping and mass layoffs that are happening at the Department of Education, and what the Education Secretary is calling the first step toward dismantling the agency altogether. Overnight, the Department of Education gutted. More than 1,300 workers told they're being laid off, now cutting the agency roughly in half. Education Secretary Linda McMahon saying those cuts are just the first step.
What we did today was to take the first step of eliminating what I think is bureaucratic bloat.
The department is already the smallest of all cabinet-level agencies, but is responsible for everything from managing federal loans for colleges to enforcing civil rights laws in schools. The leader of the nation's largest teachers union says students will pay the price.
There is no way that that's going to lead to faster service. Calls will go unlistened to. Emails will go unread. We know that.
McMahon asks what will happen to some of the department's critical programs, like Pell Grants and funding for students from low-income families.
We kept all of the right people and the good people to make sure that the outward-facing programs, the grants, the appropriations that come from Congress, all of that are being met. And none of that's going to fall through the cracks.
McMahon says the president has given her a mandate to strip down the agency and work with Congress to eliminate it. Democrats blasting the Trump administration's push to shrink the size of the federal government.
Throughout this administration, we're seeing cuts. Services will not be provided for, in this particular case, for our schools and the protections for our young people.
So sources say the president has floated the idea of moving some of the agency's work under the Department of Treasury. The president on the campaign trail repeatedly said he wanted to return the power back to the states. It is worth noting that the Department of Education does not decide what is taught in schools. That's already decided at a state and local level, Michael.
Okay, so what I found was, I'm just going to read it to you from my phone. It says trade wars disrupt global supply chains, causing increased costs for imported goods, potential shortages, and shifts in manufacturing and sourcing strategies as businesses scramble to adapt to new tariffs and find alternative suppliers. In more detail, increased costs. Tariffs imposed by countries on imported goods to protect domestic industries raise the price of raw materials, components, and finished products, ultimately increasing costs for businesses and consumers. Disruptions in transportation routes increase security risk, and potential port blockades can slow down shipments and create bottlenecks in the supply chain, leading to shortages and delays in deliveries of goods, i.e., y'all keep stocking up if you already are. And please start growing some food. Businesses may reevaluate their supply chains and look for alternative sources of goods and materials to avoid high tariffs or to diversify their supply base. Unpredictable trade policies and tariffs can create uncertainty and instability in the global market. And we already seen this is, I think, the second or the third day that the market has been down. And we have our president doing infomercials on EV cars to get people to buy Elon Musk vehicles. And he's also taking a hit, Elon Musk. So the impact of trade wars can ripple through the supply chain, potentially leading to job losses. We're seeing that in industries that rely on trade with affected countries. U.S.-China trade war tariffs on import from China disrupted global supply chains as U.S. businesses sought alternatives, and China retaliated with its own tariffs, y'all. Trade disputes in other areas. Trade disputes between the U.S. and other countries, including Canada and Mexico, can impact the automotive, the energy, and food industries, raising prices for consumers. The Russian invasion of Ukraine, the conflict underscored the fragility of the globalized economy and disrupted supply chains for essential goods, including energy supplies, leading to price increases and shortages worldwide. So what businesses are going to do is look for other suppliers that they can just try to go around having to pay these tariffs, but I don't see that even happening. They may order more. We saw them doing that when they were preparing for the strike at the port, where companies were ordering more, thinking, you know, it's not going to be moved to their stores and they won't have enough. So stores do stockpile. We should stockpile. The government does stockpile. There's no reason for us not to be, other than the fact that it's so costly right now to do anything. 1 second. What time is it? Okay. What is this? Oh. Where's that other article? Okay. So there's a supermarket that is closing. I'm going to share that with you guys. So Shaw's Supermarket is closing 2 stores in New England, 1 in Massachusetts, and another in New Hampshire. Y'all don't forget that Walmart is shutting down 22 locations. I told you guys about that a little while ago. This year, they're shutting down 22 locations. The Massachusetts location of the Shaw Supermarket that's closing is at 7 Railroad Avenue in Gloucester or something like that. And the New Hampshire store is at 24 Edie Road in Concord. Shaw's didn't say why the stores are closing, but like all retailers, they're evaluating performance. The supermarket chain, headquartered in West Bridgewater, has 55 stores in Massachusetts and 26 in New Hampshire. There is another Shaw's in Gloucester and, well, on Eastern Avenue, and 2 more nearby in Beverly and Peabody. So people still have a store. Now, I don't know the distance between them, but we're going to see these deserts start forming again. Shaw said it's aimed to offer employees affected by the 2 closures jobs at nearby locations. And Shaw's parent company is Albertsons. You know, Albertsons was trying to buy up the Kroger's, and they've been kind of stalled on that for a little while as well. But there will be Kroger stores that will be closing up, as well as Albertsons, because if there are 2 in the same vicinity, they're going to get rid of 1. Last year, Shaw's competitor Stop and Shop closed 7 of its stores in Brockton, Rainham, Halifax, Shrewsbury, Worcester, Pembroke, Springfield. The company said that the stores were underperforming. So that's what's happening. A little bit of news that you can use here on Tommy Bites Homestead. And I will see you guys later on today in a video. So thank you for coming in. If you haven't hit the subscribe, please subscribe. If you, let me stop sharing this. Hit the like, leave comments, definitely. And we would love for you to be a part of the channel. Hey, Kamasita, how are you? Hey, Tina. Hey, Homesteader, how are you? So yeah, y'all, get to growing, okay? It's not as complicated as you think it is. You know, you can do this. There's no reason for you not to do this, but there are plenty of reasons for you to do it. Okay. You see the prices in the stores right now continuing to rise. I was going to do a store walkthrough today, but I'll probably do that tomorrow. There's so many reasons to make sure that you are a little more self-reliant and doing your own and not depending so much on the grocery stores, because we don't know where that's going to go. Everything is kind of volatile right now. So I'm going to go. Got to pick my daughter up from work. Y'all take care, and I'll see y'all in the next video. Feel free to share this video out with your family and your friends or anyone, and ask them to subscribe to the channel where they can get just a little bit of news you can use now, because I do all of that over on TOMMYBITESTV 2.0, as you see on the screen, because I forgot to take that off. But definitely you can go over and get all the news that you want, because over here we're trying to keep a peaceful mindset, but I only bring y'all stuff over here when I feel like you need to hear this. You're going to be affected by this. Everyone. No one's exempt. I don't care who you voted for. No one is exempt. Okay. So y'all take care. Stay prayed up. Pray, plan, and prep. And I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye, y'all. I'll call you in a little bit.